Welcome everyone behind the paywall here on Kart Chaser for more coverage of the Indy Karting Challenge. Currently in the midst of its 10th round, a part of a doubleheader weekend today here from Whiteland Raceway Park. We're happy to have you with us here from the state of Indiana as we're a couple minutes away from the start of the heat races. Justin Prince, Ian Fisher with you as we prepare for our second half of the day's racing festivities. Qualified, seen some interesting storylines pop up a bit, but we'll see how things pop up in the races here, Ian. Should be some good fun in about a couple minutes' time for 206 Sportsman.
Yeah, it's always fun with the tram line starts here and trying to see if everybody can get a good jump off of the line and funnel into that first corner. It's always more interesting than qualifying. It's always fun to see you can set the fast lap time, but racing's a whole different story, and we'll see if we can avoid the turn one incident like we did in a couple of these heat races earlier today. I think we will. A lot of these drivers kind of have they're awake, I'll say that. They've either drove once today or they've at least had their morning cup of coffee, so I don't expect to see too much of that here, but it's really, these heat races are still important. Some points to be earned here and definitely sets you up in good position to do well in the future races.
What do you keep it on the most for when these drivers hit the racetrack in about a minute's time, or for these heat races this afternoon?
I think it's going to be, you want to be aggressive, but you want to be smart at the same time, which I know sounds kind of like an oxymoron, but what I'm trying to say behind that is you want to take the spots where you can. You don't want to give opportunities away to take spots when they're there, but at the same time, you don't want to put your nose in a position, maybe like you would on the last lap of a feature, to go for all of it when you know that you have an 8-minute feature with 2 laps coming up to take care of business there. So you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you ruin your night in the heat race, but at the same time, you can take some positions here and you can really put yourself in a good spot where you can be aggressive in the feature race.
Absolutely. Here as we reach 2:45, we'll see how things get started up here in the next moment or so. Again, sportsmen due up in the next couple moments here for the Indy Karting Challenge. The Kart's now heading the racetrack after a quick couple moments to prepare things for this respective group. Looks like we're all set to go for sportsmen. So once again, the sportsmen drivers hit the racetrack for the respective heat races here. Dominic Gaddis lead things off over Danny O'Gara, Austin Taylor, William Feichtiner, then Titus Robertson, Dalton Sears, Alam Stoner, and Blake Martinez, Jordan Lapham and Kaysen Hendrickson, Andrew Avalos and Nolan Wade, Chase Call and Max Zeal, Miles Snetler and Dylan Thomas. Lincoln Willie did not set a qualifying time. All set to go. A massive field of 17 entries here today. They're all set to go zoom zoom. Out of the tram lines they work. Green flag is out, and we're back to racing here in Indiana. A clean start up at the front of the field as everybody else makes their way towards the drafting sections. Contact already. That's towards the back of the group, and some tempers flaring that involved a couple of those towards the back. Up front, it's a 5-kart breakaway.
Dominic Gaddis does an excellent job here to get himself out to an early lead. It's not going to be that easy, though. You see there, Danny O'Gara right on his back bumper and really just trying to make him work for it. You don't want to get anybody into a comfortable groove if you're racing against them. You want to keep them guessing. You want to keep them making moves they're not comfortable with, because that's how you're going to get them to make mistakes, and that's how you can make the overtake here. But as you mentioned, a 4-car breakaway here at the front, really starting to push away from the rest of the field. And as we say that, I think it looks like there maybe a 2-car pairing grouping up outside the top 4, so maybe those 2 drivers can work together, try to get themselves back up to this pack, and it looks like they're doing a little bit of it now. Now maybe the top 5-6 cars under that lead pack.
Able to zip on away in this grouping, to say the very least. But remember, O'Gara in the blue cart, going to be one of the aggressors, so to speak, try and break up the teammates. And remember, we've seen teamwork working well in qualifying. You see them already trying to signal with one another to work together in this grouping with 3.5 minutes to go.
And I think it's really important there that they do. And I think what was going on there is, I think Austin was giving way, or I'm sorry, Dominic was giving way there actually to Austin for the spot, but I'm not quite sure if they took it. They're side by side for a second there. You can see they're still trying to communicate something. And every team, every driver, they got their own set of hand signals, so they kind of know what they're talking about. And I was talking about earlier, that familiarity of racing with people. You can kind of start to read their mind, maybe if your teammates. So in this situation between Gaddis and Taylor, they kind of know what each other wants there. But they keep kind of getting side by side here, and it's allowing Danny O'Gara to kind of try to move in. At the same time, if they stay side by side, it's going to let him move into the lead here, which he's making a move for it. He moves around the inside. He's going to be able to seal him off, but he's still going to be able to give up the inside here on the hairpin.
O'Gara up to the point with that move. Gaddis and Taylor round out the top 3 right now. Roberts, Weichtiner also in the choo-choo train. And there's got to be some sense of urgency in the next couple minutes here, especially knowing there's not going to be a lot of time to make some of these moves here. Gaddis seems to be dialed in to try and see what he can set up here to the back end. No move this time.
Yeah, that's really, I was kind of wondering, Danny O'Gara, his hand was kind of forced there. That gap kind of just opened up for him, and he had to take it, but I don't think he really wanted to make that move that early, because this is a tense spot to be in with 2 teammates behind you that you know are going to work against you to at least get one of them in that front spot for the future race. So Danny O'Gara, with just under 2 minutes left here, has his work cut out for him.
Yeah, this is going to be a difficult one, potentially, amongst these now 3 karts breaking away. Under 90 seconds to work with on the clock. Right now, Gaddis plotting and planning. Plotting, planning, trying to think, sort things out. Make sure when to make the move. You don't want to make this early, or else you will lose a lot of time in this sort of a race. There's a look back from O'Gara to keep an eye on Gaddis.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's just going to be a situation of, can you keep Gaddis in your back bumper? You can kind of see here as they go past the start-finish line, O'Gara is moving way down to block any moves into that hairpin, which he's doing a great job of playing defense right now. The only problem is defense is going to slow you down a little bit. It might open the door, too, as well for Austin Taylor. We've seen that move a couple of times from 3rd to 1st. It seems like the 2 karts in front are battling, and then the 3rd place kart gets a huge run from the battle in front of the 2 of them. So we'll see if that happens here, and if Austin Taylor can take advantage with about 30 seconds left before they get 2 laps.
Absolutely at this point. So looking towards what we're going to get here, 15 seconds to go on the board. Looks like they'll give 2 to go is the signal. So only 2 more laps to try and sort each other out here based on the timing. Austin Taylor's been just waiting in the popcorn seat, watching things as they've raced along here.
And Dominic Gaddis there got a little bit of run out of the corner, but it's the bad place to get it. Now he gets a great run coming out of the concrete bank corner here. He's going to try to make a move to the inside. He does have him sealed off. You'll see there that his teammate Austin Taylor will take the gap and follow him through. That's the really tough part about being in first place right now. We've seen that move where one driver will make the move. If it opens up the gap, it's going to bring the second driver through, and that's what happens. Danny O'Gara will now fall to 3rd place with 1 lap to go.
White flag is out, final time around. It's Gaddis, Taylor, O'Gara. Right now, Taylor, we'll see if he decides to take the win for himself or if he keeps being the wingman for Gaddis. O'Gara trying to find a way to pass two karts at once. They set things up out of the bank curve. Right now, it's the defensive move. Gaddis going hard inside, and that's going to open up the door for Taylor. Side by side, trying to go uber aggressive on the defense. There goes O'Gara jumping by one. He tries to find a way to jump around a second. Coming up to the checker flag, this time by. More defensive maneuvers up front. Gaddis, O'Gara, Taylor, all fighting it out to determine the winner. Here comes the drag race at the stripe. It's Gaddis by 6/1,000ths of a second.
And that was quite a move there by Gaddis. I was going to say, I thought almost for a second that was the wrong move and that was going to cost him the race. Unfortunately, it did cost his teammate Austin Taylor second place there, but you saw he went all the way down to the bottom before that last set of turns. It really slowed him down, kind of checked up Austin Taylor there, made him fall back. But Danny O'Gara was able to take advantage of it and sneak in the second place, almost steal the win there in the heat race.
Looking through the rest of the order, 16 took the start. Couple just finishing up right now. So Gaddis, O'Gara, Taylor, Robert Sears again, critically, are your top five in this heat race. There's the last year finishers on the racetrack. Nolan Wade finishing at the tail. So already getting geared up for the 206 cadets next. And we get ready to sprint our way through the car. These races going to be coming every 10 minutes now, all the way through the next hour or so before we get to the point of a small break. So, a sprint all the way through. Every 10 minutes will be these races. Let's talk about 206 cadets once again and how things have gone so far for the cadet class. Remember, it's Hodges that leads that point standings over Patrick McNeely, Hastings, and Heinzen, the current top four as they run in that championship. So expecting the karts to hit the track pretty soon here for these drivers as we get set for heat number 2 of our afternoon. Here's a look at the drag race one more time, by the way, Ian. That was razor thin once again. It's going frame by frame on this. And you can see just razor margins. That was close from O'Gara.
Yeah, almost Austin Taylor almost helped O'Gara get the win there to an extent, but it was really surprising to me that Dominic Gaddis let Danny O'Gara basically set up the same exact move that he did before to take the lead. They were able to get it back with a little bit of teamwork, but kind of left the door open for the same move, and it almost bit him there because O'Gara made that same exact move to the inside there and won the drag race down into the corner. One more lap and O'Gara would have had that race for sure.
So things getting sorted out here at the moment. Again, cadets due up next for the race here on Kart Chaser. And it looks like the field, you see them right there, still trying to get itself sorted out there. It's a false start. It didn't look like it was going to be even to a spark. We didn't have anyone at the flag stand at the time. So here's how they spark for this field. Hodges, Simon Alec on the front row. Then Maxwell Heinzen, Fox and Berger, Sider and Waite, Hendrickson and Wheeler. McConaughey rounds out the starters, and two drivers didn't take time to qualify. Those were a Trenu Rittenhouse and Grace Geist for today. A couple of those karts still yet to close up to the field as we get set for cadet racing. This should be fun to see what happens here, especially in the battle for the mid-pack that could endure here. Just that slow roll to the tram lines, just keeping calm. And there are still several karts that are yet to group up here before they even get to the tram lines. We'll see if they get it sorted here down the straightaway. Just about sorted. Couple karts lagging back here as they come to the start zone. Now they're lined up. And this time it's a clean start. Green flag is out. We're underway, and what a launch from your leader. Hodges taking off like a rocket.
That was a great jump on the start as well, too. The pole sitter there gets to go, and then the flag is waved green, and Reagan Hodges did a great job of really just getting that confusion and all the mess they had there with the grid out of her head, and really just jumped off there, almost out to, I would say, at least a 3-second advantage right now. We'll see if Simon Ellick has anything as this race progresses. This is relatively short when it comes to the feature race, so it's going to be interesting to see if anybody can kind of catch up to Reagan Hodges here after that start.
Hodges off to a blistering start over Simon Ellick, Maxwell, and Heinzen. Others continue to score across the pylon, but for Reagan, she has been, in this class, been very in control. Seen in the summertime, for example, her being able to control things during her stretch of races, one in a row. It's going to be hard to close up the gap, I think, for everyone else. It's going to take a lot of time here, and there's not a lot of time to do it.
Yeah, and that last time by, Reagan had about a 2-second advantage on the rest of the field, even down to lap time. So we'll see if the lap times kind of equalize this next time by, but especially with already only 3 minutes and about 45 seconds left here in this heat race, it's really going to be tough for Simon Ellick to catch up to Reagan Hodges. I don't know why I keep doing that. But that time there, the lap times are starting to equalize. So really you can see how important it is to get a great start in these heat races, because that 2-second gap, even if these lap times stay the same, are not going to go anywhere.
Yes, indeed. So the gaps start to settle on in here with less than 3 minutes to go. And how does this now play into the knowing that the feature race might see the gaps increase? Seen earlier in the summertime when calling this series, the gap went up as high as 8 seconds at one point. Hodges is that dialed in this class this season.
Well, you got to stay. It starts to get difficult at a certain point, too, when you're out in that far of a lead, because some people actually race better with karts around them. Some people do better when they're chasing a kart, even. So you'll see certain drivers, they'll want to sit around in second place and just follow the leader instead of actually leading the race themselves. Some drivers really like to be out in front and have a clean racetrack and then just worry about setting down the fastest time they possibly can. I always kind of actually struggle when I don't have another frame of reference with another kart on the track with me. But I don't think that's any problem for Reagan Hodges here as they continue to put down fast lap after fast lap. Simon Ellick really the only one on the track that is even coming close to the speed that Reagan Hodges is putting down there. Not enough time obviously left in this heat race to catch him, but I think in the feature race, if Simon Ellick can really focus on getting a good start just like Reagan Hodges did, I think they have a chance to at least put a dent or into the gap that Reagan Hodges seems to get out to in each one of these races.
Absolutely. Simon Ellick, though, keep in mind, is at least keeping this interval somewhat at bay this time. Closed up a couple tenths last time by, in fact, with the personal best of the race. So that 40 kart, we've seen Simon Ellick earlier today beat Hodges, in fact, seems to be getting a little bit of pace later on. Is that a sign of long run pace later if this is going to be consistent later?
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. If Simon Elliott can get the same type of jump that Hodges got on this heat race, I think it's going to be really competitive between both of them all the way to the finish. And again, you can see that Simon Elliott was actually faster than Hodges that last time by, so it might not even be competitive. It might flip the other way, and you might see this kind of domination from Simon Elliott in the future race instead of Hodges. But it just goes to show, we've talked about it so many times, how important it is to get a good jump off the start. It's so much easier to do, too, if you're the pole sitter, because you get to decide when that initial jump goes, and then the green flag flies from there. So again, great job by Hodges here. Really puts yourself in an excellent position going into the feature race. And if she can repeat what she did in the heat race, it should be easy.
Clock reaches zeros this time by. Should be 2 laps to go. There's the signal right there. Simon Elliott is making it interesting. A second gain last time by. Can Simon Elliott pull this off after being 2 seconds back just a couple laps ago?
I didn't think that Simon Elliott had enough time, but it is possible. Again, closing the gap is one thing, passing is another, so we'll see what happens when the battle inevitably happens here. It looks like, though, coming down to the final lap, we are going to see a race for the heat win here.
It's close. It's getting close. It's very close. It's coming to the white flag this time by. Simon Elliott making it interesting after Hodges dominated the first half of this race. Looked to be pulling away. Not anymore. White flag is out. The gap is under 2/10. Simon Elliott, if he wants to have the shot here, has one chance, has one opportunity to make this pass work. Of note, Berger has passed by Heinzen for 4th spot, but the race is on for the win. Down to the final section. Simon Elliott trying to close up on the draft. Hodges maintains a car length gap. They make their way into the final chicane sections. Simon Elliott pushing, overexerting, losing ground in the final sector. Reagan Hodges comes out of the final corner, and with some footsteps pressurizing behind, Hodges gets her first win since round 6 in this series.
I will say, though, even though Reagan Hodges got the win, if you're Simon Elliott, I think you're feeling really, really confident going into the future race. We were talking about if they can get to the same kind of jump. Well, there, Simon Elliott just proved it kind of really doesn't matter with the jump, because with an extra 2 minutes, that would have been really interesting to see those two go at it, and we probably will get to see that here in the future race.
So the rest of the field crossing the stripe here with some of the separations around the facility. As in the end, 12 took the green flag. It's Hodges and Simon Elliott separated by within 2/10. Diesel Maxwell finishes 3rd. Berg goes up 2. Heinz and Fox. How about up 5? Rittenhouse after not sending a qualifying time. Hendrickson, Wheeler, Waite, the top 10. The rest of your drivers, Enzo Seiner and Grace Geist, finished 11th and 12th in the cadets. So, that brings us towards the middle portion today. The 206 mediums are due up next for the Indy Karting Challenge. And they're already hitting the racetrack. Just that quickly when it comes to the preparations today. Staying to work, clock work today for this class. 206 senior medium. Once again, Elijah Fox, the points leader for that series. He'll be on the pole today. He set the pole over Jared Howerton, Braden Heber, and then Nicholas Nostman and Brady Sappenfield. Dylan Howerton and Raider Santos in the top 7, along with Braden Johnson in 8th. Braden Mayfield and Gage Justiano will start in the top 10. Josh Piccioni and then Brennan Orenick and Evan McCorkindale did not set a qualifying time for the session. He'll start 13th. The concourse getting busy with parents and team members. So we take the green flag. We're underway for senior medium. Good launch up at the front for Fox. Already clear. Heber wants second. Remember, those two were lockstep earlier this morning in their class racing. They're 1-2 to start this race.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. That group you can already see is kind of breaking out to an early lead from the rest of the pack there. A little bit of competition from Nicholas Kostman there in the 4th spot. But again, I think we're going to see more of the same as a little bit of contact maybe going down the back straightaway into the final section of the track there. That's going to move, I believe, Howerton out of the way and give the spot to Brandon Heber. No, actually, that's going to be the other way around. It looks like Heber and Howerton got a little bit together there, but Howerton was the one that came on top of that one. So in 3rd position right now in the blue and yellow card is Brandon Heber.
So, Fox, Howerton, Heber, your top 3 now to start things off for this one. Sabatfield and Osman, your top 5. And Jared Howerton, remember, was on the prowl and broke up Fox and Heber in their perpetual grouping together in the late stages this morning in the features.
Yeah, we basically have a mirror image of that right now with Fox, Howerton, and Heber. So we'll see if Heber can come back and repay the favor a little bit and maybe break up that 1-2 pairing of Fox and Howerton. But again, Elijah Fox, just the sigil of consistency, I will say, throughout the entire afternoon and even in the morning as well. You can see that while those two are battling behind him, he keeps coming out to just the slightest gap every single lap. He'll get out to about maybe 0.3 of a second, 1/2 of a second gap, and then it'll kind of reel itself back in, but he's always able to put that little bit of gap between him and the driver in 2nd place.
3 minutes to work with on the racetrack here as the top 3 have now broken away. And it seems almost like it's about timing if you want to get this pass done right in the best opportunity with this long straightaway today. Yes, you can make the passes today here, Ian, but a lot of times we've seen the defensive switchback be more effective for the defender than the attacker.
Yeah, and I kind of go back to O'Gara. He kind of seemed to find out a little bit of a formula, if you will, where you don't take as aggressive as a line into the first turn, get the exit speed out of the first S, and then actually make that pass on the exit of that complex, and that seemed to work a little bit well. But you kind of mentioned it. We've seen a lot of drivers drive in really hard to that first hairpin and then immediately lose it in the next crossover. And I think it's a really, really clever design part of the racetrack right now that we're going into. We'll see if it happens here with any of these drivers.
Still top 3 locked together. Still no moves with 2 minutes to go. Howerton is taking some defensive lines here a little bit. Starting to play a little bit more of that offense. Speaking of offense, Howerton sends it, licks the stamp, and takes it away coming to the start and finish line.
Yeah, it looks like he got sent out of a cannon there and just takes the spot away from Elijah Fox. I was not expecting that move at all. We talked about all the passing zones there. Shows us a new one there, the initial hairpin right past the start-finish line. Haven't seen too many moves made there, but that one definitely worked for Howerton, and he's able to take the lead.
So, now this is on for more pressure again as Fox, Howerton keep on battling it out. Fox, Howerton locked up again. Howerton trying the same line that worked before. Still a minute to play with before the 2-minute trigger. 2-lap trigger, should say. And Howerton, did he make the move too early? With how Fox quickly took it back here, we'll have to see here if he's going to get another shot.
I think something we're seeing as well, too, is that moves and gaps will kind of fall into drivers' laps. And if you don't take it, you're going to slow yourself down. You're going to kill all your momentum. So you're kind of forced to take that spot when it's there, even if you weren't really expecting it. But you might also just give the spot right back and say, hey, that wasn't my strategy right now. I want to be behind you. And then try to make the move when you want to make it there. Because you kind of mentioned it's really hard for anybody to make a pass that really sticks. The leader gets out to an early lead and they kind of hold on to it. And if you're going to make that move, I think it does have to be as late as possibly.
So expected 2 laps to go coming up. Right now, Fox still in control. He's been cool as an ice cube. with these attempts from behind from both of these drivers today. Will that maintain itself as Howerton elects to go for the push, try a different line to cut? Still can't set up a diamond line to get alongside Fox to take away his line here.
You got to be really careful there. You saw the little bit of gap that was opened up for Brandon Haber there. Got a little bit of a nose in on Jared Howerton, but again, wasn't able to complete the pass. But we've seen that happen too as well, where one driver will go for a move, and then right behind the next driver will sneak in. We've seen that move from third to first multiple times today.
Once again, trying to set this up. Will there be a chance to zoom on by? Howerton is building a buffer, is taking a look, takes a peek. Fox stays outside. Howerton parks it, takes away the lead. And now it's Jared Howerton up in front. Fox trying to peek outside, forces the switchback to take away the preferred line inside. He retakes the lead, and here comes Heber. He falls in for second, coming to the white flag this time by.
That's exactly what I was just talking about. You got to be really careful when you decide to make your move, because it could open you up for a pass there. Now Howerton finds himself in third place. He's going to have to be really smart here, and we'll see if Heber has anything for Elijah Fox this time. Fox, I will say, in his credit, played that really well. I think he let Heber have the spot and then take it back where he knew he'd get some speed on him. But a really tight battle here. All three karts under a blanket, and you can see Howerton making a move to the inside again.
This is for the win. Fox now dealing with Howerton to the outside. A cutback for Fox. A switchback offset 3 wide. A cut for Howerton. He goes inside of Fox. Near contact between the top two. Fox trying to block all the lanes. Heber now peels to the left side. A block for Fox. It's Fox who holds off Howerton by 52 100ths.
What a battle there at the end. That was impressive. All three of those drivers giving it everything they possibly could have there. And Elijah Fox doing his job there. Like you said, as cool as an ice cube, I think is how you put it, and just able to hang on, hold off the pressure. He knew that move was coming to the inside. I don't know if you saw that at the very end there. Was able to seal it off and hang on for those final two corners for the win.
So it's Fox, Howerton, Heber, Johnson, Sappenfield, Nostman, Dylan Howerton, Mayfield, Santos, Ornick, your top 10 and your finishers for this field. That leaves us still with 3 more races left to go for the heat portion of today. 206 Junior is next on the racetrack here at Whiteland Raceway Park. Those drivers now hit the racetrack, as here's how they'll be sorted out for 206 Junior. Thomas Anthony starts on the pole. He set the pole time by a few tenths over Gabriel Payne. Lucian Laser and Carson Benjamin the top 4. Then it's Maxie and Ward in row number 3. Row 4, Harden and Patton. Row 5, Dunn and Harbert. Next, Nico Santos, and disqualified for qualifying was Liam Codd at the back of the field. That's a run through once again of this running order as they get ready for the tram lines. Slow run through to get to the tram lines here for the field, 12 plus strong. Green, 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 and we're underway. And a good launch as already the zippity doodle of Thomas Anthony looking to pull off and away.
And we've seen it time and time again, that pole sitter able to get off to a great start. It's just a question of if they're able to hold on for the rest of the race. So got 5 minutes here, 2 laps to hang on to that position. Takes a peek back at the rest of the field, sees he has a comfortable gap here. Doesn't have to worry about a defensive line going into the corner, can just worry about his race right now. But the rest of these drivers, their job is going to be try to team up, try to do what they can to cut into this lead right now, because at this point right now, Thomas Anthony is getting a huge boost on the rest of the field, and that's what's really important about this first lap is that if you can get out there and put an early gap on the rest of the field, we've seen it happen so many times. The pole sitter is able to just put 2 seconds or so on the field. They're about just a second over Gabriel Payne.
And you see how the field settles its way in already. Anthony running off to the hills. Laser so far this championship points leader, as mentioned, has been a podium runner several times. And right now, Thomas Anthony seems dialed on in. A 2-time winner, 1 feature, 1 heat. 1 final, I should say, and 1 heat on the season. But Laser, keep in mind, still doing the beneficial thing for the championship, at least, Ian. Outscore Patton, outscore Harden. Those drivers 7th and 9th in the early going.
Doing your job right now is all you can do. That's kind of what I talked about earlier when I said, what can you do from the heat races into the feature races or the final races? It matters what position that you're in and what you're trying to get done in the race, and you're kind of seeing that right now. Laser sitting in 3rd position would probably want to be winning this race right now, but is absolutely fine sitting where they are in the qualifying points. In the championship points. You don't want to make a mistake and put yourself in a spot where you have to start from the back in the feature and then work your way up from there.
So, it's more than a 1.5 seconds for the time being for Anthony. Seems relatively at ease up in front. Again, Thomas Anthony controlling this field, one of the AMAX racing machines, racing in the summertime, and did very well during said summertime period. Laser might be in a prime position to try and pounce to get around Payne if he wants second here, wants to get that extra point. Remember, it's 50 points for a heat victory, 45 for second, 44, and it goes single digits on downward on the pylon. 1 point is 1 point. Do you take that 1 point at this point here, Ian?
Again, I think if you can do it without risking anything else, yes. Right now, though, we kind of mentioned earlier, he puts himself in a good spot being in front of Harden and other drivers he's battling in the championship. So right now, you don't have to push anything too difficult. I say if Payne makes a mistake and the spot's there for the taking, go for it. If not, just settle in. You're in a really good spot right now.
Great spot right now, in fact, as the 2nd and 3rd place drivers to pull it away for the rest of a choo-choo train. Back to 7th. And still pulling off and away goes Anthony. Does this feels like it sets the tone for later. Anthony just seems like he's got a very strong kart underneath him.
It really does. I don't think anything really is going to change for him going into the final race. So you got to feel really good, really confident if you're Thomas Anthony, though. If you're Gabriel Payne and Lucien Laser, though, you can see they're battling for this 2nd and 3rd spot. There's still some pride for these 2 drivers on the line, individual steps to the podium. And then if you look farther back than that, it's been a real battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th between Mason Ward, Carson Benjamin, and Isaiah Maxey. So still a lot to be battled for here into this feature race, in this heat race going into the final feature race. That being said, you really want to be kind of in a good spot where you can get a good job on that jump. The first turn here is a right-handed turn, so if you kind of find yourself on the inside of that, maybe sneak some positions for there, it sets you up well for the rest of the final race.
2 laps to go in this race. And Anthony leads by more than 3 seconds. Maxey has fallen down the pylon with Benjamin jumping up. Seen a couple of those air groupings, how they're checking in so far. We've seen a lot of racy battling amongst this 4th on back group. That 2nd and 3rd place group has stayed relatively calm despite Laser being within about a 10th most of this run. Expecting the white flag here for Thomas Anthony. All he has to do here, just keep it on the racetrack, Ian.
Really, don't make any mistakes. Hit your marks. I wouldn't even go out and try to run your fastest lap right now. You got about a 3-second gap to play with here. Just make sure you get in and don't do anything that would, hurt your kart or anything like that going into the final race. I think you might see a move here from Laser at the very end. We've seen the timing be so important with these passes. I think you really want to wait here until the final lap before you see a move. We'll see if Laser does anything in the final few corners here.
Laser looking for a setup lap, traffic staying to the side of the road as Anthony cruises his way through the final section. 206 Junior, dominated by Kart 317 today. And Anthony comes through the final corner. Thomas Anthony puts on a dominating show and picks up the heat win in 206 Junior. Some showmanship from the flagman on top of it. As a drag race for second, they were near identical. It was Payne over Laser.
That was almost identical, like we saw earlier in the heat race. So some really close heat race finishes we're seeing here. It goes to prove that these positions do matter to these drivers. You want to get up in front of that grid. You want to be as far to the front of that grid as you possibly can going into the final race. Try to avoid any kerfuffle going into turn one.
So it was Anthony, Payne, Laser, Ward, and Benjamin. Maxey, Dunn, Hardin, Patton, Harbert, your top 10. Those not in the top 10, Santos and Codd. Codd finished 2 laps down in this race. Still 2 more heat races left to go. So those 2 heat races, the 206 Masters, the KA Senior Master, those races all due up here in the next couple moments or so. Again, the Indy Karting Challenge, a busy weekend, doubleheader weekend, rounds 10 and 11 here at the racetrack in Indiana. Here's a look at the schedule once again. This series started all the way back in March, Ian, and since then has held at least 1 round every month, and it's coming down to the home stretch.
And really for these drivers, if you've been in every single round and trying to fight for points and everything like that, it's exhausting. It's a slog. It really is a grind going week to week and dealing with that mental stress of competition, and then also just trying to get your kart ready every single week, making the travel plans and stuff like that. I'm sure these drivers love driving. It's going to be a little bit bittersweet as we come to the end of the season, but this is what you've all worked for all year long, is this championship at the end of it.
So next up in the order, 206 Masters. And you see them in the backdrop getting themselves onto the racetrack. They are set for their heat races here. So as they get sorted in the tram lines here, J. Brian Williams on the pole, Troy Tony, Matt Geis, Scott Hamble in 4th, Michael Schaefer, then Tim Landon, BJ Snetler, Jared Spanzel, Melvin Godsey, big news, did not pass through the tech, it looks like. He had a disqualification to his qualifying lap. Godsey's at the back as the green flag waves. We're underway. And so, the battle is on. Williams, Tony, and Geist. We'll see how they slug it out. Can Godsey make up the track position in time to make sure he stays in this pack too?
Fewer karts in this field, but a lot more relaxed of a start that we've seen than the rest of our heat races so far here. It looks like everybody's just trying to settle in and find a spot to get comfortable with and race. But as I say that, Troy Tony giving a little bit of a challenge here to J. Brian Williams. I think he's able to hold on at least for this first lap here. Those two making a little bit of a gap on the rest of the pack right now. But again, everybody just kind of settling in, finding their spot on the racetrack early in this heat race.
First time around, Williams over Geist, Tony dropping back to 3rd spot. But still 4 minutes to try and duke it on out here. 5 karts with a chance in the front. We've seen Scott Hamble have good speed until the late run. Godsey, we'll see if he's going to be able to have enough speed to pass by all these karts after being one of the top 3 qualifiers before the DSQ.
Scott Hamble actually himself had a heat race win, but then had a jump start penalty that was a 3-second time penalty, so that moved him back into 5th place. So really, Scott Hamble, you mentioned it, has some speed. Really, everybody in the top 5 right here, as we see maybe a swap for position between 4th and 5th right there with Hamble and Godsey towards the rear of this towards the rear of this front pack. But still, 3 minutes, 15 seconds left. Still some time to make some moves, time to gain position, time to make some lap time back on the karts in front of you. If you have a little bit of a gap there, you can see it's starting to open up a little bit between Brian Williams and Matt Geist.
And all of them staying lockstep. This is a class in the Masters we've seen here at other tracks that you get a big run early on like Williams gets. It usually doesn't last. It usually there's a good chance of fall off that kicks on in these races. That has to be something that's in the mind of Williams with what we've seen relative to the 206 Masters before.
Normally I would say yes, but remember at the end of qualifying, Williams' kart really came on towards the latter half of the run, so I still think maybe some of his best laps are still in front of him, really close. Melvin Godsey actually ran the fastest lap last time by with a 48.6, but I'm interested to see if Brian Williams will continue to get faster or if he's reached the latter half of the bell curve with that kart right now. It'll start falling off a little bit and allow Geist and Tony to get back in there and try to mix it up for a heat race win.
Right now, last time by, 48.7s for the field, a 48.6 for Godsey. Godsey needing to close up a fair bit and has closed up a fair bit to Tony. That 83 does have speed, it looks like, to be able to make up the ground at least. So Godsey is on the prowl to get on the podium.
Yeah, this is really important for Godsey, too, because you can see he does have the speed, like you said, but he's had to fight his way all the way from the back of the pack. So now just getting himself into 4th position, even though he's setting the fastest laps of the race. So really important here. Definitely get that extra spot in 3rd. If you can get yourself on the front row, that's going to be even way more important because then he can directly battle Brian Williams for that lead that it looks like he's going to hold on to for at least another minute and 11 seconds. Matt Guy's going to try to do what he can about that, but I think it's really imperative for Melvin Godsey to get at least one more spot on Troy Tony here if he can.
Still 53 seconds on the clock here. A few more laps to work with on the board. By the way, Scott Hamble's lost touch with this group, for those wondering. Williams right now starting to see that fall-off band mentioned, but not enough to lose the gap that he's built up so far here. Right now, turning 48-second lap time still this field. As they come around, expecting about maybe 3 to go with what it looks like on the board.
And it's an opportunity cost, too, as well. You kind of mentioned it. Brian Williams' lead shrinking, but did he time it enough? Did he give himself enough of a gap initially where it's not going to be an issue where he has to battle with Matt Geist when he comes to 2 to go here? I don't know if he's going to be able to really get to that point. A little bit of a lucky take there with 2 laps to go, maybe a tiny bit early, could have given one more lap possibly, but Brian Williams doesn't care. He wants to see this race over sooner rather than later because Matt Geist is starting to squeeze that gap in. Again, you look back at the battle for 3rd and 4th, Troy Tony trying to hold off Melvin Godsey. Melvin Godsey was a little bit faster than Troy Tony that last time too, so he's going to try to get something done in 2 laps, you can expect.
Let's find out here, shall we? Geist now has closed that gap right on up. It's coming up to the white flag this time by Williams. Hold on for now as Tony and Godsey lose touch from having a shot here for this set final lap. We've seen some big dives before. When does Geist get the chance? He tries it now. Tries to take a poke. Has to reset.
I think that was a little bit of mind games possibly by Matt Geist there. It's really not a spot that you're going to make a move, especially with the karts as close as they are behind him here. But I think if he's going to do it, he's going to set up this draft a little bit here. I think he's just left himself too much of a gap, though, to really make anything happen into this S section.
No chance there for Geist. Brian Williams coming through the final sections. Able to hold on for now. He looks back, sees the deficit. Battle is on behind, but it's Williams who takes the heat win, gets it done over Geist. Second spot goes to Geist. Tony and Godsey, the top four. Scott Hamble coming across the stripe fifth in this one by 5-6 seconds. No, I should correct myself. Schaefer passed him. Hamble has had an issue on the final lap. Snetler is the last to take the checker flag here, as the 578 having a problem here to close out this race.
It's tough, too. It's the last thing you want to see. Puts them back in the pack for the feature race. Hopefully they can get it going before the feature race. Probably have roughly an hour to get any problems he has figured out with that kart. But I will say Melvin Godsey probably wanted to get that one more spot for third place. So the one silver lining as you look at the track here, once they make that that right turn after the start finish line, does set them up well for the left-hand turn heading into the rest of the complex.
There's one more heat race left to go. KA Senior and Masters are due up for the final grouping of drivers. Again, 15 entries, and 3 of the Masters, the rest of them a part of KA Senior. And the KA Seniors, remember, are fastest drivers here at the facility. And they should put on some blistering times, to say the least. I'm expecting a lot for the 906 kart, let alone a lot from this field when they go racing here in a few moments here, Ian.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Some of the fastest lap times we've seen so far today. And again, this unique multi-class within a class configuration we have in the KA senior master classes. So we'll see what really transpires when we get into the heat racing. We saw the qualifying times were incredibly close. I'm curious to see how the racecraft translates to what we'll see.
So just waiting for the karts to get the clearance to go here with the situation, once again involving the last of the finishers from the previous race. See when the karts get the go-ahead here as we wait and see what happens for our final heat race of the day in a moment here on Kart Chaser. There are the karts. It's time to look through the running order here, as it's time to sort out that field. Elijah Fox and A.J. Lund, first row in the KA Senior. Augusto Soto Sharipa and Lane Gibbs next. Potter and Finley, followed by Perry and Matt. Rudder and Gundolf round out the top 10. Then you have Macy Gallion and Samanelek alongside. Simon Ellick is the first of your Masters drivers. Nelson, your second of Masters drivers. Your last in KA Senior was Colin Flynn. Nathan Williams did not set a qualifying time in the Masters. We'll see how these running orders go. Green flag not in hand. It looks like one of the sticks held in hand as the drivers zipped their way around the racetrack. Believe we did get the command. Yes, no, there's caution flags flying. False start confirmed.
Rack them up one more time and get going again. Maybe just wanted some extra heat in the tires, so just trying to get out there for one extra lap. And you can see those drivers are taking advantage of it now, trying to get a little bit of extra heat back in the tires before they group back up here and give it another shot at the start.
So they'll have to regroup them again. As a result, get them re-squared away for this race. Try this again. Slow rolls with the tram lines for a second time here for this pack. And green flag is out. Clean start, we're underway. And they zip their way through the opening sector. Top 2 breakaway for now. Everybody else trying to sort themselves out.
And again, you see the consistency of Elijah Fox again on display, able to get himself out to a good start, but AJ Lund able to stick right with him, so they form your top two grouping. Lane Gibbs leads the rest of the pack that you see right behind him, and now starting to make a little bit of room here on the leaders. Going to get right up to the back bumper of Lund for just a second, going to fall back a little bit, but now he's kind of the bridge between these two top groups.
So, your drag race to start things off between Fox and Lund. Soto Sharipa having to hold off Gibbs in the midst of some of the fighting as well, as they all try and see how the pack square away here. Top three seem to have broken away a little bit for now. How much aggression do we see in this race is going to be the huge question mark.
I think if you're the top two drivers right now, you're starting on the front row, so you're not going to really be fighting for those spots too much. I think Soto Sharipa is really going to be trying to take away second, though, from AJ Lund, because he really wants to be on the front row to start the final race. I think the front row is really where you're going to see a lot of the battle from there, and you're going to see battles for rows. If you're fighting for someone and you know you're on the same row, it might not be as aggressive because it's not really that big of a difference. But as far as being in front of a car or behind another kart on the start, that's going to make a huge difference.
AJ Lund trying to break away with Elijah Fox here. So far, Soto Sharipa keeping things close. He's been very good. Soto Sharipa has been on corner entry to apex to close on up. Some pokes there from Lund, but the 906 is showing why he's been able to showcase that speed at this racetrack this season. Bit of a checkup for a moment. Here comes the send. Up the inside, some swapping around, back and forth they go. 2.5 minutes to work with, and they are fighting aggressive for the back half of the course. Already a lot of scattering and squabbling. That's a lot of breakaway involving these karts. A lot of squabbling. Soto Sharipa wanting to find lots of place to go. That's opened up the door for Lund to run.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good move by Soto Sharipa at first. Really took advantage of a little bit of a checkup there by Lund. I think Elijah Fox got a little bit loose coming over that little bit of a hill before heading into the downhill hairpin. And that allowed Soto Sharipa to really jump in front of it there. But then Sharipa wasn't able to get back to his line. That opened the door again. And it kind of allowed that whole pack to kind of get all mixed up. Now AJ Lund finds himself in the lead of this race.
Under 2 minutes to go in this one. And we know for a fact that these types of gaps usually don't last for long here. Does Soto Sharipa get the chance to work with Fox to close this gap up? Or does Lund try and take off and away? Already seen 7 car lengths the difference. Fastest lap, Soto Sharipa.
Yeah, if you're Lund, you got to try to check out and get away from the rest of the pack as fast as you can. Unfortunately for him, you see that last time by, he was not faster than a few cars trying to chase him down right now. So he's probably going to have to play a little bit of defense here. And I would say maybe at least 3 laps, possibly 4 laps that he's going to have to hang on to this lead for. And I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. I will say he's able to hang on to the end of this heat race. I'm really interested to see what Elijah Fox does not starting from the pole position in a race.
50 seconds to work with. Just 50 seconds to go in this one. It's going to be interesting what we get on the lap time next time by, if we get 3 or the 2. And that deficit starting to close back up again with Soto Sharipa maintaining a pace of 0.2 quicker than the race leader and compared to most of the other karts on the racetrack. There's that close-up. Elijah Fox getting into good rhythm this lap to close it up to under 3 kart lengths.
Be really interesting to see, too, if Soto Sharipa is able to put enough pressure on Fox where it basically allows Lund to hang on to the lead. I think if they get 2 to go this time, that's really going to be to Lund's advantage right now, because that's going to mean that Soto and Sharipa are going to even fight more aggressively for that remaining spots. And you see right there, 2 laps to go, I saw 2 sticks in the air, even though it says 3 laps right now, but I believe I did see 2 sticks in the air that last time by, Justin.
The confirmation wants to get around next time by, why don't we? As now, it's under 2 kart lengths. Elijah Fox and Soto Sharipa both trying to get aerodynamic. Lund did not. Here comes the poke. Fox inside, takes the lead. Soto Sharipa takes a poke. He stays back in the 3rd spot for the time being. 2 laps now on the board confirmed. Now coming up this time by. This is going to be the white flag lap. Final time around. Elijah Fox in front over AJ Lund.
Really interested to see, though, how many times have we seen today the 3rd to 1st move. I wonder if Soto Sharipa has anything left for these 2 drivers in front of him, or if AJ Lund will make the move that opens the door for Soto Sharipa to sweep in there. Right now you can see Elijah Fox sweeping back and forth to try to break the draft. He's going to take the really defensive line into the final S section here. We'll see if that opens the door at all for any of these drivers. Not right now, but it looks like they're going to be side to side. Fox does have the preferred line, but Soto Sharipa even trying to get in there. He's going to take the position away from Lund at the very end, and it looks like Elijah Fox is going to be able to hang on there, but it's going to be Soto Sharipa stealing that the second position away from Lund, leaving Lund on the last step of the podium for the heat race.
Soto Sharipa tried it. Trying to go to that 3rd to 1st move you talked about. But in the end, Elijah Fox makes the right move at the right time to take the win away from AJ Lund and come away as a heat winner in this one. So again, the rest of the field crossing the line, Fox, Soto Sharipa, Lund, your top 3 in the race. The rest of the order coming up here as Gibbs and Finley, along with Perry, Rudder, Matz, Gundolf, and Gallen, should say, round out your top 10. Now, how did the rest of the classes fare out? Remember, there were 2 classes here. The Masters went to Simon Ellick. He took it by near 5 seconds over Nelson today. Then Finn mixed in the seniors with Potter. Potter having some issues in the race off and on. Then Nathan Williams rounds out the entries in this one. So, that brings us to a small break here in the running order for the Indy Karting Challenge. The finals, 8 minutes plus 2 laps, coming up in less than 10 minutes time. You're watching Kart Chaser here from the state of Indiana. Welcome back to the Indy Karting Challenge here on Kart Chaser. As the karts hit the track, it's time to go racing for today's finals. Justin Pritz alongside Ian Fisher as we get set for our finals races for today. It's going to be a busy afternoon for the rest of our event as the 206 sportsmen now get ready to hit the racetrack. Let's give a run through as they get sorted out on the racetrack right now, how they're going to start today. Dominic Gaddis and Daniel Guerra on the front row. Austin Taylor and Titus Roberts, Dalton Sears and Will Feinsteiner, Tom Stoner and Kaysen Hendrickson are in the tram lines, along with Jordan Lapham, along with Martinez, Avalos, Call, Zeal, Willie, Snetler, Wade, and Thomas, DNS in the last run. We're now underway for the run-through for Sportsman for its final. Here, Ian.
We had another clean start in one of our final races here. We're used to seeing that here. Not too many aggressive moves here. These drivers got a little bit more time to work with. They can be a little bit more deliberate with their moves. You kind of see them right now filing in. Not too many aggressive moves. Even at the front of the pack here, it looks like Gaddis and Austin Taylor there, or at least working together for the meantime. We did see this earlier, though. Daniel Guerra loves to sit in that third spot and then just kind of mess with these two teammates here. See if he can kind of bait him into mistakes and then make his moves that way.
So your front runners, Gaddis and Taylor, to start things off. O'Gara losing a spot to begin this race. As they make their way around the circuit, Roberts and Sears amongst your top five. Remember, 8 minutes plus 2 laps for these races, so a lot more time to think. And in the case of Gaddis and Taylor, you have two teammates that have made it clear they like to work together to try and break away.
They've made it clear they like to work together too, but I've almost seen it at times potentially work to their disadvantage. There's almost times where they're overcomplicating working together, and it leads to them almost giving up a spot. You saw it there where Daniel Guerra was almost able to steal the heat race win just because of that. So it's good that you work together with your teammate, but at the same time, you don't want to overcomplicate it. Right now, doing a good job, though, with just over 6 minutes left in this race.
Yeah, right now they hold on to a 0.4 of a second buffer. So what's going on in the mind of Daniel Guerra? How do you plot and plan this, knowing you've got to pass two karts that are a collective unit?
Right now, I think you're just hanging out. I don't think you really need to do any plotting right now. You could even get into a situation where they make your decision for you, and the two of them get into each other and make a mistake, and it allows you to sneak right in and kind of steal a spot. We saw that happen in the heat race where O'Gara was able to get to the lead. The teammates worked together to get back past him, and then he was able to steal second place away there at the end. So I think if you're Danny O'Gara, you're just kind of content sitting where you're at right now and seeing how things develop.
Of note, last time by, Sears making the pass on Roberts, so that's a change in the second pack. Right now, starting to see Taylor drop back into the clutches of O'Gara. And now we're about sprint distance, so this has allowed the top three, mind you, near 2 seconds buffer. They have a lot of time to play with if they ever so wanted to play with said time on this racetrack.
They really do, but they're not going to. They want to separate themselves from the rest of the field as much as they possibly can. You kind of see there 4th, 5th, and 6th of Dalton Sears, Titus Roberts, and Feitinger there, kind of sitting in a little pack of their own fighting, and then it kind of falls off from there, and you start to see the karts kind of single out. So if you're a group of 3 at the front and you can get away from the rest of the pack, I think you want to do that. The one thing you might want to be aware of, though, especially with the longer time here in the final race of 8 minutes instead of 5 minutes, there's a possibility that you can catch up to lap traffic, and you don't want to put yourself in a spot where at the end that becomes a factor if you're the leader.
Absolutely right now. So, right now O'Gara just waiting in the wings, waiting to see what to do, when to do it, and how to do it at the moment. Everyone else is losing a few tenths a lap on the average to these three. And here comes the team swap. Taylor and Gaddis making a change up front. Taylor to the point.
They did that a much better job of doing that swap that time. They were kind of struggling. You saw the back and forth hand signals. No hand signals there, no hesitation. Just a seamless swap there in a slow part of the racetrack where they didn't lose too much time. That's really important there as well. If you're going to do that swap, you're going to lose a little bit of time. You really got to minimize that time that you lose to O'Gara. And now you can see they're definitely putting a little bit of gap on there right now. They're definitely not losing O'Gara, but they're making it ever so slightly comfortable. And if you're in a battle that's this close, every inch is a little bit more comfort if you're the car in front.
3.5 minutes to work with the two teammates. Still looking to squabble, poke a bit for a moment for Gaddis. And despite them squabbling a little bit, no gain through for O'Gara. By the way, Feichtiner dropping his way to 7th in this order.
Then also Hendrickson dropped down as well. I think lost the position to Lincoln Wiley further back at the pack. That is for your 10th position right now for the back chase call, Andrew Avalos. They're fighting for 10th and 12th, but on your screen right now is still that Battlefield lead. Austin Taylor, Dominic Gaddis. They're both going back and forth here, not really trying to give too much issue to one another right now, and you can kind of see Gaddis is even falling behind a little bit into the clutches of Danny O'Gara, and if he's not careful, he's going to set themselves as a wedge in between the two, kind of like what happened in the heat race, and that's sort of the complicate things for the two teammates.
Yeah, you don't want to make it too complicated in this regard. You want to be able to keep things open, so to speak, in this type of a race. Have to keep an eye on how this now works amongst the drivers. So, plotting and planning continues here up in front for Taylor and Gaddis. Gaddis with 2 minutes to try and sort things out. O'Gara has 2 minutes to sort out how he's going to pass two karts at once to try and get this finals victory. By the way,
I think O'Gara knows. Go ahead.
You go ahead first.
I was going to say, though, O'Gara finds himself in that third spot where we've seen the move made from third to first multiple times. So, again, I think he's really content being where he's at with about 1 minute and 30 seconds left there.
See how they're wheeling it right now, just up on the wheel right now, Gaddis is. O'Gara now trying to get things set on up here as they go to the bank curb. Bump draft yet again. That bump draft so effective with these two up front. Once they get to the bank curb, it just makes them run away.
Yeah, and it really takes away one of O'Gara's best tricks, which was this little complex right here. He'd really figured out this last corner that they're going through right now. He'd really figured out a run through there, and you can see he even gained some of the time back. But if Taylor and Gaddis can keep pushing themselves out of the range of the initial move, then at that point, O'Gara doesn't really have a leg to stand on. He's going to have to figure out another way to get past these two drivers, which, to his credit, he's already figured out 2 different ways to pass them so far. But once you get to the third one, it gets really difficult.
So, expecting the signal for the lap count coming up here. No move for Taylor, no move for Gaddis. They keep on trying to make sure it becomes a 2-kart race between them, and they leave O'Gara out to dry. 7 seconds the deficit between the top 3 and 4th, by the way. Roberts seems to have settled on in that 4th spot by a few tenths. So this time around, double sticks in the air, 2 laps to go.
We'll see if the two teammates can hang on here. This is kind of where, if a move is going to be made, obviously it's going to be made by Danny O'Gara. I do think, again, he waits until the last lap to try to make any kind of move on these two drivers, and we'll see if they can get together, the two teammates, again, for the bump draft down the stretch here, making a little bit, and now actually it looks like the teammates are going for the move on each other, but at the same time, at the very end of the straightaway there, it looks like Gaddis is going to file in and try to still help his teammate there get to the front. It's going to be white flag when they get back to the left this time. You can see there O'Gara continuing to get a little bit of space each time on that corner. He's really figured something out in the latter half of that track.
Here comes Gaddis looking around Taylor. White flag is out, final time around. O'Gara also makes the move. O'Gara sending things up from second, all while Gaddis tries to go on the defensive now. Already taking some more shallow lines as they get ready for the drafting section. Final time around for this class. Who's going to come away with the win here in Sportsman? More defensive maneuvering from Gaddis. He goes hard defensive. Here comes the crowbar move from O'Gara. O'Gara passes by Gaddis, able to make the move from a sharp angle. Now, coming to the checker flag, Danny O'Gara able to zip on by, break through despite the defensive maneuvers from Gaddis. Now the drag race at the end, but it's O'Gara who still comes away with a left lap pass.
It's got to be really disappointing for the two teammates as well. Anytime you do your team moves there and you're really trying to work together, the last thing you want is for someone who's not on your team to take the win away from you on the last lap. But give credit to Danny O'Gara. That's exactly what he did there, able to come away with the checkered flag in the 206 sportsman class.
And able to do so for the third consecutive round in a final. Really setting the stage for the championship points. That's going to close things up a bit on Gaddis by 20. Still a sizable margin of less than 100 to close up, but it becomes realistic with this one. O'Gara, Gaddis, Taylor, Sears, Roberts, your top five. Feichtiner, Stoner, Lapham, Willie, and Hendrickson are in your top 10 today. Rest of your runners through the field, plenty of them outside the top 10. That includes the fouls, Call, Zeal, Wade, Snetler, and Martinez finished 11 down. So a DNF for Martinez. Just like that, our first final is complete. Final number 2, due up in about 2.5, 3 minutes from now. It's 206 Cadet. Due up next here on Kart Chaser. Look to the replays on what happened moments ago here. And this was the move that won the race for O'Gara, able to zip on by a sharp angle. That was a turn back out, I believe, from Gaddis to set things up for the corner. And O'Gara just said, you know what, I'm just driving on through. Again, more coverage of the Indy Karting Challenge coming up here in just a moment. Currently getting prepared for 206 Cadet Racing. Hodges so far today, dominating pace that's seen it trimmed late by Simon Ellick. Simon Ellick, who had won 3 consecutive total races in the order, expect to be competitive for the late stages here. So let's talk about the running order for 206 Cadet. Hodges, Salmonellic, Maxwell, Berger, along with Heinz in the top 5. Fox, Rittenhouse, keep an eye as one of the big movers. Hendrickson, Wheeler, Waite, Siner, Geist, and McConaughey rounding out the field. And some bumper cars already being instituted before they even get to the tram lines here. We'll see if that sets the tone for this race today. Taking the slow, patient roll once again. Set to go racing once again. Once again, your cadets ready to go. Zoom, zoom. Green. We're underway for the cadets. Hodges, another good launch, another runaway to start things off. Almost wash, rinse, and repeat from the heat race in.
Yeah, I was about to say about the same exact jump that Hodges was able to get last time, but also able to get a great jump with Simon Ellick there, able to keep the gap, maybe not 2 seconds this time, maybe just about a half-second gap here heading into the hairpin section, the S section here for the first time. Again, though, a great jump by Reagan Hodges, and it goes to show if you're the pole sitter, if you can get that jump off the line, it really sets you up for an early advantage here, and it gets to be a point where it's your race to lose, and I think that's what Reagan Hodges really wants, as she'll come back around here to take the lead for the first lap. But really, it's going to be, we've seen it before, can she hold on with Simon Ellick charging? They tried to do it earlier in the heat race. We'll see if they can get it done in the future.
We'll see how much time needs to be set aside here. Simon Ellick half a second back to start things off here. Simon Ellick, keep in mind, in this kart, closed rapidly at the end of the 5 minutes. It seems like Hodges is definitely set up for short run at minimum.
Yeah, it is really perplexing. Reagan Hodges definitely gets out to the real early jump and the real early lead, even more so in the heat race, because a little bit of a stack up back through the field. You can really see the gap has opened up back to Diesel Maxwell from Simon Ellick there, just about a second and a half back to Diesel Maxwell. But I don't really know what is happening there when it comes to maybe Reagan Hodges, like I was talking about, proximity to other drivers helps you remember your lines and help you have a reference for speed, but you can already see it here. Simon Ellick starting to close the gap.
Yeah, right now it's looking pretty solid. Simon Ellick seems to be a little bit more quicker for this portion of the run. In fact, going for the lead, poking to the inside. Hodges plays good defense.
It's early in the race, too. We've seen it happen multiple times where a driver will take that early jump and try to get out to a lead and think they've got it wrapped up, but then it falls back, and then they end up battling again towards the end of the race with the same person that they just passed. So maybe a little bit of gamesmanship there by Simon Ellick, just showing themselves to Reagan Hodges there, trying to see if they'll make any kind of mistake, but Hodges able to hang on for the time being.
So we'll see how this plays out. Simon Ellick already showing the hand a little bit of aggression with 5 minutes to go. Still maintaining a 2-3 car length advantage is Hodges. By the way, Maxwell, Berger, and Heitzen currently holding on to relatively solid distances for the top 5. Give a shout out to Rittenhouse today. They were the biggest mover from the heat race earlier. Still in the top 6. Still has a chance potentially to maybe get a top 5 depending on what happens for that 29 kart later on today.
Speaking of big movers as well, Lily McConaughey in the 147 kart up 4 spots from where they started. So a couple of big movers here today. We've seen that from a few drivers who have able to move their way from the back to the front. Dominic Gaddis comes to mind, coming from the back of the heat race to finish 3rd in the heat race and put himself in a good spot for the final race. But a lot of drivers showing a good amount of perseverance here. And then another driver, again, Lily McConaughey picks up another spot there. So that's 5 spots now for Lily McConaughey picked up in this race.
Good boost up after some of the troubles seen earlier in the day for that 147, especially in the qualifying session. Still 4 minutes to play with for the leaders here. They are still separated even distance. In fact, last time by, it was near identical on the lap time. 6/1,000ths the difference. Blink of an eye. That's how close of a difference they are. Simon Ellick seems like he's trying to get things at least closed up here. Still a lot of time to think about and plan this. That seems to be the process. Get the chess moves ready, get the moves, and advance like chess rather than play checkers.
And if we're going off the trend from the heat race, the real fall off for Reagan Hodges, if it's going to happen again, is going to be around the minute 32nd mark of this race. You see now we're about 3 minutes and 10 seconds left. So Simon Ellick might know that and might just be sitting and waiting for the fall off. It is possible as well that Reagan Hodges found something in that kart between the heat race and the final here and is just doing a better job of staying in front of Simon Ellick. You can kind of see their lap times right there. Simon Ellick just a touch faster, but almost identical.
Yeah, it's almost like watching the stopwatch right now, it seems, with how they're racing. But races aren't done on paper. They're done on racetracks. And Simon Ellick on the racetrack has the draft. This is a round where the light switch went towards Simon Ellick in the last run. It goes to the point here.
Really, it looked almost easy there from Simon Ellick, able to just get the draft down the backstretch after the bank turn and able to move into the S section and really make easy work of that. We've seen a lot of drivers come back and get the crossover from that, but Reagan Hodges really didn't have any defense for Simon Ellick that time.
Still 2 minutes for a chance back, though, for Hodges. Hodges taking another peek around. And this could be interesting. It's the question now, does Hodges have enough speed to get the pass back?
It looks like it right now. It looks like the gap is shrinking ever so slightly. It is minuscule. It is by very little, but still, all things considered, a lot of time left here. Still 1 minute and 40 seconds left, and then 2 laps. So still at least 3, maybe even 4 or 5 laps of racing here yet to see. So it's not quite over yet. And you can see Reagan Hodges fell off there, did give up the lead to Simon Ellick, but it's still sitting right there, and it's not over yet. It's not like Simon Ellick is running away with this, and even maybe possibly a little bit of a move to the inside there by Hodges into the right-hander.
Yeah, try to take a little look. Not going to make that look work this time, though. Still 2 kart lanes. Coming up to a minute to go in this race. And now you can see Simon Ellick starting to get a little bit of distance built up. This could be beneficial to close. They are starting to approach lap traffic, interestingly enough. We'll see if that plays a factor here with less than 45 seconds to go.
We've seen it be a factor already once today. I will say that was very early in the morning in our heat races earlier today, but we've seen lap traffic be a factor. I don't know if it'll be as much of a factor here in our final race. We've also seen a lot of the lap traffic be good sports and get out of the way if they know they're going to be factoring a race such as the one that we see for the lead here between Simon Ellick and Hodges, but it could lead into something. We're probably going to get 2 sticks in the air next time by. So this is really getting down the crunch time for Hodges. If she is going to make a move here, it's going to be in the next couple of laps.
Has to be at this point. You can see how much trying to set it on in deeper into the corners compared to Simon Ellick, who's trying to keep the tires cool. Coming up to 2 laps to go. The traffic is within about 15-20 car lengths now. Seeing them just up the road just for a split second. Hodges right now needs to close 4/10 of a second just about. 3.5 in fact, in 2 laps and set up a pass if she wants to try and get this win.
Really, we've seen it happen too where someone goes for a pass a little bit too early, so I think we're going to wait for a last lap pass again. And I almost think if you're Hodges here, you look and see that lap traffic is getting closer. It's going to be a factor whether they like it or not. I believe by the time they get potentially to the final lap. We'll see if they make a liar out of me here. But I think if you're Hodges, you're maybe looking ahead and possibly seeing, hey, there could be a pick situation for me here where they choose the wrong line and I sneak by that way.
There's the lap traffic. Lap traffic stays to the right side of the racetrack. White flag is out final time around. And not the greatest spots for Hodges to reach the traffic. Simon Ellick taking advantage, runs away.
That's really unfortunate for Hodges. Kind of just caught him on the wrong side of that there. Nothing the lap traffic did wrong at all. You could see they were trying to get out of the way, but now they're just stuck in a part of the racetrack where there's not really a spot to let him by, and that's really going to let Simon Ellick run away with this.
Simon Ellick so far today has shown rapid pace in whatever kart he's been in. But the 40 machine coming through the final sector. Simon Ellick gets it done, and gets it done by a wide margin with the help of lap traffic. Checker flag waves. Simon Ellick gets it done, gets the win in the cadet class. Hodges coming away second, and 17 seconds is the interval to the next closest kart. The top two put on a show.
Really was. It was really unfortunate again for Reagan Hodges there at the end with the lap traffic. I was talking about how it could work to her advantage, use it as a pick, but really at the end, and again, I want to point out that those drivers did absolutely nothing wrong in the situation they were in. Hodges just caught him in a bad spot, and there was no way they could let her by after that, and really just let Simon Ellick drive away with it. And that's just how racing goes sometimes. Sometimes you pick the wrong spot to make your move and it ends up biting you. And it'll be a learning experience for Reagan Hodges. She'll come back, and if she sees that situation again, she'll probably make a different move and take advantage of it.
Simon Ellick, Hodges, Berger, Maxwell, Heinzen, your top five. Rittenhouse, Fox, McConaughey, Hendrickson, and Wyatt round out the top 10. The rest of your running orders, Grace Geist finished on the second page of runners, along with Ryan Wheeler and Enzo Seiner. So that completes final number 2 today. Couple minutes away from the 206 mediums. We'll see that in a moment here on Kart Chaser. Karts now hit the racetrack for 206 Senior Medium. It's time to see how they will start for this grouping today. 13 starters, 3 did not start, mind you, in the heat race. See if they take the green in the final. Elijah Fox, Jared Howerton, Braden Heber, top 3. They fought pretty hard in the race. Braden Johnson and Brady Sappenfield. Nicholas Nostman, Dylan Howerton, Braden Mayfield, followed by Raider Santos and Brendan Lornick. The drivers who didn't start the heat race included Gage Justiano, Josh Fagioni, and Evan McCorkindale. We'll see how they get sorted here and how many do get the chance to take this green flag. Looks like the kart's just about all sorted and ready to rumble. Senior medium final, all set to go. Green flag is out, we're underway. And a clean launch yet again as the front runner, Elijah Fox, sets the tone.
Again, it's going to be the smooth consistency of Elijah Fox that allows him to get out to that early jump. We'll see if he's able to hold on. He was threatened a little bit by Howerton and Brandon Haber in the heat race, but able to hold on, make the right moves, hang on to the lead at the end. I expect to see a little bit of the same here in this final race, but we'll see if Elijah Fox can hang on and continue his perfect day.
Yeah, that's the question mark right now. We know Howerton really likes to set some aggressive moves in the early going before settling in. He also prefers that Fox and Heber do not group together based on the trends we've seen so far. Those top 3 able to get a solid buffer over the rest of the field. That buffer, 1.9 seconds for the top 3. Why not go 3 kart bumping?
That's a really good point you bring up there too, Justin, that Jared Howerton really likes to be where he's at right now in that second spot. He doesn't like those two getting linked up. You kind of see sometimes he'll fall away a little bit even if those two get too linked up, but doing a really good job right now, staying all over the back bumper. Elijah Fox keeping his kart right up to him, trying to bump him away even from Brandon Haber if he can a little bit and repay the favor. A little bit of a move to the inside there, but they'll file back out into a little train.
Right back into the line they go, in fact. Yes. All getting sorted back together here. So now we'll see what happens. Dylan Howerton, by the way, is up to 4th. One kart has had an issue on the racetrack. Didn't get the number plate on the one stop to the side of the road. But we did get 10 who took the initial green flag for this race. Now this is all sorting out with Jared Howerton breaking away. Hebert losing ground this time. Howerton trying to create a breakaway, it looks like.
Yeah, a little bit of an interesting change in the trend we've seen so far. We'll see here what Heber can do to try to reel this top 2 pairing in now. As you mentioned it, he's kind of falling back a little bit, maybe conserving his car a little bit for the end of the race, or potentially Howerton just doing a really good job, Jared Howerton this is, of just pushing Fox away right now. But again, Elijah Fox, just the model of consistency so far today. Nothing seems to really phase him. Even when we see him getting passed by either Howerton or Haber, he is able to go right back at him and make a simple move, it seems, to just take the spot right back. So we'll see if Jared Howerton has anything different for Elijah Fox here. And I will give him a little bit of credit. He's able to open up this gap between him and make it a 2-kart race right now. You see it's almost a second gap back to Haber. But Haber able to close in a little bit here as they go through the S section. We'll see if he can do anything differently, though, with Elijah Fox.
Yeah, that's the huge question mark right now. 4.8 seconds first to 4th is the difference, by the way. And throughout everything we've seen today, throughout all the battles we've seen play out around this racetrack, it's been made relatively clear. You need to be smart on the move. You need to be able to make it while also being able to defend immediately. We've also seen the surprise moves work out a couple times, Ian.
Yeah, I think some of the surprise moves that we're seeing are a little bit of an advantageous, maybe an opportunistic move by some of the drivers. Maybe not what they were initially planning to do, but it just kind of falls in their lap and they take the spot. We've seen it happen, as you mentioned, a few times already today. One that really comes to mind is one of the bobbles that O'Hara was able to take advantage of earlier, where those two teammates got together and Taylor and Gaddis went wide, and then O'Gara was able to sneak in and steal the win away from them there in the final race. So we'll see if anything like that happens here. You can see that Heber now, he's been able to get back to the back bumper of Jared Howerton. He's closed this gap back up, and just as I say that, Howerton gets a really good push out of the banked corner.
And yet again, takes a peek outside for a moment. Stays back in the line trying to keep the push away. Not going to work out to get any distance. In fact, Heber, great section there, closes back up the gap. And that seems to be the cat and mouse game too. Heber's the wrench, so to speak, that can break this up. And it seems a bit different because Heber, for the most part, had been the driver in second in most of these races today. In this one, he seems content in third and waiting to see what Howerton does now.
And I feel like a broken record beating it up, but we've seen it again so many times, that pass from third to first after the second place Kart tries to make a move on the leader. So that might be what Haber has in the back of his mind right now as he watches these two battle in front of him. Jared Howerton, though, give him credit. He is kind of crafty. He makes some somewhat unconventional moves based on the rest of the moves we're seeing throughout the field today, and able to really play really good defense when he has to. This battle between the two, as you see that Haber is going to get inside a little bit. I don't think he's going to be able to get enough of a nose in to make a pass in the turn one, and he won't. But it's kind of opening up at the tiniest of gaps for Elijah Fox. And really, while we're mentioning all of this, Elijah Fox is just putting in practice laps and trying to stay consistent, hit his marks every single time, doing a great job of that.
He's done this in two different classes today. Laser focused, laser-minded, and this time tries to go aerodynamic with Howerton all over the rear end still. Still about 2 minutes on the clock to work with for these drivers. Right now it's the matter when this matter of movement comes in. And how many minutes to go now do you think we see the move in this class with how they've raced it out now in this one?
I think a deliberate move we've seen has to come on the last lap. If it's a move you're planning to set up and you're planning to make, it's going to come on the last lap. But it's kind of interesting. We've always seen it with about this much time left in the race, 2 laps left, 1 lap left. Something weird will kind of end up inevitably happening, which kind of shakes it up right at the end, and then it kind of falls into a new battle. So we'll see if that happens here as well.
About a minute to go on the clock. Just 1 minute to work with for this session and for this final. Going to be interesting where the lap count goes. May be close. It's within 5 seconds or so. In fact, within 3 seconds of it being a 2-to-go trigger. They might just display that there by the time they come around next time. We'll have to see.
It's going to be really, really close. I'll say that much. So, again, Elijah Fox, he's going to be wanting to see the 2 laps to go. If you're the drivers behind him, you want a little bit more time to try to set up your move. You might not want to be forced into a move early. And as we say that, here we see Jared Howerton move to the inside. We'll see if Elijah Fox can battle back. He's done such a good job so far. Once somebody makes a move, to be able to make the move right back, he'll make it there. But it's on the weak side of the corner, and that's going to be able to let Jared Howerton, for now, at least hang on to that spot. But just as I say that, Elijah Fox back side by side.
Side by side they work. Fox trying to get the edge from the outside. Howerton from the inside. Howerton holds back that defensive maneuver. Few laps to work with. Howerton now having Haber poke to the outside. Fox stays back to second. They continue to squabble it out. Again, we'll see how many laps we get confirmed once we get to the stripe. Here comes the run from Fox. He takes it from the left side. Right side for Howerton. He has Heber pushing him this time. Now side by side squabbling for second. Howerton holds on in front. Now Fox stays in second. Heber out to third as they come around the stripe this time by. We'll see if they do get the 2 to go or the 1 to go. Confirmation coming around, looks to be final time.
Unfamiliar territory here for Elijah Fox as well. He finds himself in second position in the final lap. He's going to be the one that has to make the move this time. He's not the one defending, so we'll see how good his attacking is as he gets right on the back bumper of Jared Howerton. He might have the help here if he plays this correctly of the push from Bandit Heber. We'll see what happens as they head into the S section one more time.
Howerton goes defensive. Fox tries to zip into second, does. Can Fox get alongside? We've seen a couple drag races today. Howerton having to play defensive line. Fox trying to go for a cross. Now hand gestures as he goes for the cross to the right. Side by side. This is for the win. Fox now raises a hand. Fox raises a hand in victory lane. He gets it over Heber. Howerton gets shuffled to third on the last lap.
I have no idea what happened there as well, Justin, because Howerton all of a sudden looks like a parachute just deployed from the back of his cart. Really slowed down there for a second. You saw the hand gestures between Fox and Howerton. I'm not entirely sure what that was about, but Elijah Fox, look at that, just continues his domination. It doesn't matter where you put him. You can put him behind the leader. You can make him the leader on the last lap. He finds a way to get it done, it seems like.
And so it's Fox, Heber, Howerton, Jared and Dillon. Sappenfield, the top 5. Santos, Nostman, Justiano does make the start. He finishes 8th. Braden Mayfield in 9th. And lap down was Lornick in the 81 Kart. That's the top 10. We'll take a quick step aside. Next grouping coming up at 440, 206 Junior. Our next grouping of drivers all set to hit the racetrack. It's time for our fourth final of the day. The 206 Juniors are now due up on the circuit. See them in the backdrop getting ready here at Whiteland Raceway Park, here, America's oldest kart track. So, let's see how they'll line up for the juniors. Remember, Thomas Anthony started the day running away in the heat race. He'll start on the pole. Gabriel Payne second, Laser and Ward in row 2, Benjamin and Maxey, Dunn and Harden, Patton and Harbert, Santos and Codd round out the entries. All set for the green. They take the green flag. We're underway once again for Whiteland Raceway Park. And Anthony looks to do what he did earlier today, Ian. Run and run away in dominating fashion.
Yeah, really, if you're Thomas Anthony, you're kind of wondering how many kart lengths can I win this race by, and then maybe even on top of that, how many seconds can I win this race by? It's really been just a masterclass in domination by him so far. It's really been the battle we've been watching is between Payne and Laser, and that's probably the battle we'll continue to watch throughout this final race here. But really, Thomas Anthony, just a model of consistency. I would say him and Elijah Fox are probably the two most consistent drivers we've seen here today.
The gap to start things off for this one, 1 second. Gabriel Payne, Laser, Ward, and Dunn, your top 5. Mexican shuffle there. So the tone being set already by Anthony in this one, as the rest of the drivers, Payne, Laser, and Ward, have become a choo-choo train.
I was going to say, if we extrapolate that lead out, it'd probably be around a 12-lap race. He's going to end with about a 12-second lead on the rest of the field. I don't know if it's going to continue that way, and it might even grow by the end of this race. But now, as we say that, you can kind of see some of those cars back there, second through fourth, they're kind of getting themselves into a train. You mentioned it, Justin, and it's working in their favor a little bit. They're kind of chipping away ever so slightly, and if they're not chipping away ever so slightly, the gap, at least it is not growing as large as it once was for Thomas Anthony.
Still 6 minutes to work with. Patton now up to 6. Maxey continuing the ascension through the running order as you see the other carts run around. Looks like one cart is in the woods. What just happened there? Somebody just went off into the trees.
We've seen that spot be a little bit of a trouble zone right now. We've seen drivers drop 2 wheels into that dirt section there and have troubles that causes the cart to spin around. Doesn't look like anybody else was caught up in that, but yeah, that's not really where you want to be on when it comes to racing here, but maybe just the simplest of mistakes to send you off like that. Thomas Anthony seems to be unfazed by it. We'll see if his lead increases anymore this time by. I'm sure it will. It's just a matter of by how much. We'll see as it updates on your timing and scoring there. He picked up less than a second that time. So by Thomas Anthony's standards, that wasn't as dominant as he's used to.
I mean, there was a cart in a very awkward spot there, and I believe that's Liam Codd in that situation that may be off there based on the timing. Still, though, keeping an eye on that second pack more than anything. Payne and Laser, you see them working together right now over Mason Ward. Right now trying to find a way to make it a 2-cart battle for the second step of the podium.
Yeah, again, Thomas Anthony just checking out here. You can see the gap between him and then second, third, and fourth. It's that much right now. You can just see how large it is just based on what you can see on the screen here. And then the timing backs that up right now. But Payne and Laser still, they're just battling each other. They've been side by side every single time. Mason Ward trying to get into this battle as well. And then further back, you look there, that battle from 5th till about 9th position is really tight as well.
Absolutely right now. Near 3 seconds, the interval between first and second now. Right now, as things settle on in here. Again, tomorrow's going to be interesting on how many drivers we get, but also how they race. Remember, this class will be amongst the morning car tomorrow.
Yeah, basically we take the order that we did today, invert it, so you'll see these cars in the morning, and then you'll see the cars that we saw, or I'm sorry, the karts that we saw in the morning in the afternoon. So basically an inverse of the schedule that you saw today for tomorrow, and we'll see if the morning conditions makes any kind of difference. I really doubt it will for Thomas Anthony, even if the cold temperatures drop a second off of his lap times, still he would be putting gaps on the field here, and you can see even just using some more of that aerodynamic tuck to his advantage to try to grow the gap even further. He's dropped off of his 12-second pace here a little bit, only about a 4-second gap here when he gets back to the line, but still a really good run by him. I'm interested to see, though, if it will mix up any of our mid-pack drivers here and give them an opportunity, maybe in the colder weather, as we see a little bit of jostling for position here for third, maybe even second in a move there.
See if that ends up being the case. Dunn has squabbled his way back to fifth in the other groupings, but at the moment, Laser still, for those curious for the championship front runners, is still outscoring his competitors. So Laser, no matter what, is still in a great spot to grow the points lead, get a good buffer, try and get it to where it'd be a lock for the final round for a championship.
And something I'm noticing here too with Thomas Anthony is how little input he's putting into his kart. You don't have to do much with these karts. They've got a pretty good turning radius, but when you watch him coming around the corners, it looks like he's not working at all to get his go-kart around the corners, which is really, really impressive here. You see some of these other drivers that really work in the wheel. Not so much for Thomas Anthony. It's like he sets the one angle and then it just goes. A little bit of a disagreement possibly there, Justin.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, just seen a little bit of squabbling in that third pack, was about to say. But hey, still, outright dominating pace again, talk about for Thomas Anthony. It's been that type of a day. You see squabbling starting to pop up for that second pack, by the way. The battle for second starting to flare up. They're starting to get to where they are getting antsy about their spots with 90 seconds to go.
Yeah, Mason Ward last time by in this exact spot made this move that you're seeing Laser make right now back on him to take that second position away from him. Was able to go from fourth to second with that move, but he's going to lose the spot back to Laser here. That's going to drop Gabriel Payne back down into the fourth position. So right now, Payne's got a car between him and Laser to get back to where he started.
Yeah, now Laser on the podium for the time being. Does it stay that way with how they are battling behind? Anthony, just looking calm. Here's a look at that battle now for second yet again. See them already trying to get as aerodynamic as possible in this fight, knowing every spot has been a fight to be able to draft on by, close on up, getting in position has been critical in this pack.
Yeah, Lucien Laser doing a good job right now of at least getting himself out to any separation that he possibly can from those two drivers behind him. Doesn't have any chance to catch Thomas Anthony, I don't think, ever. But at that time, he really wants to get the second position because you mentioned it. It's that one extra point he can get in the championship hunt, doing a great job maximizing his points, even though he finds himself in second position right now. Just got to hang on and hold off Mason Ward and Gabriel Payne for at least 3 more laps.
See if we get the 2 to go signal actually based on the timing here. It looks like this time, yes, 2 laps to go is the call. So only a couple more laps to get this job done. Right now, 8 seconds. Thomas Anthony has kind of backed up that pace we've seen in the heat and then some with how he pulled away. See that separation, a full straightaway at this point for Anthony over Laser in this one. So expecting the white flag this time by Thomas Anthony. About to come to a close his day in dominating fashion in the juniors. 1 more lap to go here for the junior class. As a caution flag pops up, a Kart has had an issue on the side of the road again. And it looks like safety crews working to get that Kart sorted already. No problem for Anthony Ian.
Yeah, luckily again on a slow spot or slow speed part of the racetrack, excuse me. So not too much effort for him. Looks like the rest of the pack is going to get itself by as well. I believe that was Isaiah Maxey potentially that had the issue, but we'll see once everybody comes back around and we get the checkered flag. But one driver that has had absolutely no issues whatsoever, the 317 card of Thomas Anthony, just up down, waves to the camera as he drives by for a little bit of style points. Absolutely dominates this 206 junior final. He'll take the checkered flag. This is the real battle we're watching right now.
Can anyone peel away second? Anthony's already won the race, but Laser, Ward, and Payne battle it out, coming to the checkered flag. It's Laser over Ward. Payne rounds out the top four. And in the other pack, Dunn, Patton, and Maxey have gone back and forth as well. In the end, a bit of a drag race for Hardin over Benjamin for 8th and 9th. But it's done, rounding up the top 5. So a lot of karts to clean up here, it looks like. We had at least one in the trees. We have at least another off in the opening sector. We'll get a look through the run order in just a moment here. Regan Harbert seems to be the other kart that's had an issue this race. So Thomas Anthony gets the win. Laser, Ward, Payne, and Dunn over Patton, Maxey, Hardin, and Benjamin. Nico Santos finishes in 10th. Harbert and Codd, both on the next page over, do not have the best of runs. 1 DNF in the trees, 1 DNF in the grass for your karts in the 206 Junior. So as kart cleanup and overall kart dealings with get sorted around the racetrack here, take a quick step aside. Schedule starting about 3 minutes. Pending the kart cleanup are the 206 Masters. Again, you're watching Kart Chaser for the Indy Karting Challenge. Just about on schedule for the 206 Masters. And it's time for those karts to hit the racetrack. You see them in the backdrop getting set and ready to zip around this track. 2 more features to go. Let's take a look at how they'll start tonight. J. Brian Williams, Matt Geist, Troy Toney, and Melvin Godsey were the top 4 in the heat race. Michael Schaefer finished in 5th over BJ Snetler. Scott Hamble had issues on the final lap. Tim Landon and Jared Spanzil both did not start in the heat race. Looks like we will start things off with 7. No Landon, no Spanzil potentially here, as we're all set for our penultimate final of the day. We've seen Matt Geist try and pounce in the last race in the later stages. We'll see if he has time to pounce on Williams here. Green flag is out. We're underway. Williams not getting clear. Some karts going off the track for a moment. Geist takes the lead. That was not the cleanest of runs to the opening corners.
No, not at all, and Geist is going to take advantage and get out to the early lead. I don't know who that was. They got shuffled back there. I am counting 6 karts right now. There's the 7th kart, so back on track, able to keep it going at least, but that's definitely not the way that you want to start your final race here. It's a 3-kart breakaway here at the beginning of the front of the pack for these drivers, and they'll file in here. No aggressive moves through the S section the first time. I think in this class, at least, Justin, will see a couple of moves before the race is over, maybe a few lead changes. This class we saw in the heat race as well was one of those that was a little bit more, I would say there was a little bit more parity involved in the class. There's a little bit more passing, a little bit more aggressiveness throughout the entire race. It wasn't just a wait for the last lap and then make the pass that way, so we'll see what happens here.
So the top 3 are broken away here. It's Geist, it's Williams, it's Godsey. Hamble has jumped 3 spots so far this race to get to 4th, but is not in range to draft up and get to these top 3. And so now it's a big question. Do we see the race play out like it did in the heat, where there was a bit more aggression to start, had about a minute's calm period, then aggression again? Or do we see it be calm period and then aggression?
I think we'll see a little bit more calm this time, especially with we had 1 kart go off, so it stretched out our field a little bit with everybody avoiding that. A little bit of a shout out here to Scott Hamill. Had a tough break there in the heat race, wasn't able to finish. You mentioned it, up 4 spots, and actually looks like he's gaining some time here on this lead pack as well, so we'll able to see if he's able to get up there and mix it up with these top 3 right now of Geist, Williams, and Godsey. But I think we'll see some calmness here for maybe the next couple of minutes, and then you'll start to see the moves ramp back up again.
Still 6 minutes to go on the racetrack. And so we'll see. What can Williams do? What can Godsey do? Remember, Godsey had to claw his way back into position after the DSQ from the qualifying session. And it's already looking like Geist almost has eyes in the back of his head, knowing there's a sense of pressure, a sense of Williams at least thinking about these senses of dives today. We've seen Geist throughout the day today be very poised in these situations.
Yeah, he shared the same poise that Elijah Fox has. Really, if you try to make the move on him, or if you try to make a fake on him, he doesn't really get too rattled by it here. And we'll see if that holds true, as Williams here is going to make a move to the inside. He's going to be able to hold him off. I think he's going to let him have this one for right now and just defend 3rd position for Melvin Godsey. But Melvin Godsey has themselves in a position as well where we've seen them kind of hanging around just on the edge of that podium, maybe even in 4th position, 5th position. But they've had the pace all day long. So we'll see if they're able to get back up here, make any moves on Geist now, who finds themselves in 2nd position, and then maybe even chip away at J. Brian Williams' lead here.
New leader Williams, how he looks to run. Geist, Godsey, the top 3 sorting. Hamble has not closed up enough to be able to join this fight. Using a little bit more banking this time to try and get a boost off the ramping is Geist. Geist to the point. He takes the lead back from Williams.
That's an interesting move by Geist there. We haven't really seen anybody use the banking to their advantage like that today, and I've been kind of curious why nobody's gone up there and try to get a little bit more of a run there. You see Geist is able to do it, but not able to hold on to the position, and we've seen that all day long so far as you see the three-way battle as they cross the start-finish line. The pass is able to have been made, but you got to play defense right away once you make one of these passes, and that's been a little bit of the issue that these drivers have had so far. You can see it happen. The same thing happened there with Geist after he made that move.
Yeah, now he's losing a lot of ground. Just about clipped the grass, in fact. Melvin Gotze saying, I've got to go after seeing him nearly duck into the grass. Takes a peek to the right. Gotze not able to make the move. Geist able to get it back on the switchback. And you definitely don't want to hit the grass here, to say the very least, in these karts. And it's no question why the 83 wants to go so urgently.
Well, and we saw it too in the last final as well. We saw a couple of cars just dip one wheel into the grass, so that's all it takes to ruin your race. So you definitely don't want to do that while you're racing here for a potential win. Each one of these drivers in the top three still definitely has a chance to win this race. I will say J. Brian Williams is really being the benefit right now of all this back and forth between Geist and Gotze. Gotze really has to figure out a way to get this pass done on Matt Geist and then try to put some space on him if he wants to have any chance at this win, because right now him kind of lockstep with Geist is not going to really help him out at all.
Less than 3 minutes to go. Williams looking to set sail. It's been an interesting day so far as Gotze gets a chance to build a run. Gets alongside Geist. Side by side. You're dead even that time by the stripe. Purple lap for Gotze as he made the pass.
Yeah, and that happened back in the S section. I don't know if you saw it, Justin, but just the slightest bit of tire bounce from Matt Geist. I think back to the power just a little bit. He hopped a little bit coming through the final S turn, and I think that gave Gotze the momentum to get through and finally get the pass done. Now 2 minutes left. It's a really good situation for Gotze. He can kind of set sail, like you just said. Purple last time by. We'll see if he can improve on this one here and try to chip away at the gap for drive behind Williams with just about 2 minutes left in this race.
We know that 83's got speed. Troy Tony, by the way, not a great run today in this one. He's already 6 seconds back. Scott Hamble's had another kart issue. He's 4 laps down in this penultimate race of the day. So keeping an eye on this battle for second. Gotze is going on about his business, trying to close up 6/10.
Geist there just really doesn't have an answer for what Gotze has as far as the speed, and that's what I was talking about earlier. Gotze was kind of being held up there by Geist. Now he really, I don't know, he might have used too much of his kart, too much of his time here to try to get up to J. Brian Williams. Just as I say that, he seems to close the gap just the slightest bit. You see there about a half a car length, maybe even a quarter of a kart length between those two drivers right now, and starting to put a little bit of a gap here on Matt Geist. But Matt Geist could just be sitting and biding his time and seeing what happens with these two drivers right now. We've seen it happen so many times where that second place driver goes to make a move and it actually opens the door for the third place driver to move in and actually take the lead away.
Should see 2 laps to go this time by. Gotze now in position to try and go for a run. Likes not to take it yet. Just waiting for the right time seems to be the mindset. And right now, just within a kart length and a half right now. It's going to be close in terms of this setup. Gotze is looking like he's still quicker than Williams. Electing to push him instead. We'll see double sticks in the air, 2 laps to go this time. Even though it says final lap, we've seen double sticks at the flag stand.
And I think that's a really good move by Gotze right now. Just try to push a little bit more. You've seen how easy it is to make these mistakes to give all your spots away. You don't want to give away second position right now with a move. You want to make sure if you're going to make a move, that's going to be the last move of the race. And it's either going to be you're winning or you're ending up in third place, really, it seems to be with these passes.
Go, expecting this to come up to the white flag here based on the flag stand movements. We'll see if that's indeed the case. Gotze looking for the setup, looking for the chance for the final time here. There's the white flag. It is the final time around. Geist needs a miracle. Gotze needs to find an open door. Williams right now leaves the door open. Gotze nearly sent it. Close back up, and that might cost the 83. Now they come
I think
to
that
the
was
final.
I think that was a really smart move there by J. Brian Williams. Justin, sorry to cut you off there at the end, but I think he set that up intentionally, try to give him that space, and then cut it off there.
And that's now set things up for him to take a checker flag here. The gap up to 5 car lengths, not close enough Gotze to make a drafting move. If anything, he's up for grabs for Geist. Geist side by side for second. It's Williams coming to the checker flag. It's J. Brian Williams over Gotze and Geist. An interesting race there at the very end. Troy Tony in 4th spot. Snetler, Schaefer, Hamble. The rest of the running order, Hamble DNF'd in the race. You see his kart getting wheeled off the racing surface. That leaves us with one more race to go. It's KA Senior and Masters left on the docket here from Indiana. With that being said, we'll take a quick step away for just a second. 5:10, the start time for KA Senior and Masters. It's time for the final race of the day. It's time to see how the KA Senior and KA Masters deal with the racetrack. Just Prince Ian Fisher with you throughout the day today as it's our final race of the day here from Whiteland Raceway Park, America's oldest kart track. Let's talk about how the running order looks for this one. Elijah Fox, Augusto Soto Saripa in second spot. London Gibbs, Finley and Perry, Rutter and Matt Gundolf and Gallion. Then it's the Masters of Simon Ellick and Nelson. Behind them will be two of the seniors in Flint and Potter, and the master of Nathan Williams starts the tail. Green flag is out. Our final green flag of the day. Already a lot of squabbling behind the Masters, but everybody else off to a clean start.
Looks like everybody able to get through cleanly, at least the first couple of corners there. Elijah Fox, no surprise seeing him here at the front of the field. We'll see if AJ Lund able to give him any challenge here in the next 8 minutes or so. Lane Gibbs going to file right now, it looks like, at least into that fourth spot. I think Finley might have actually taken the spot away from him. We'll see when they get back to the stripe here, but a two-car breakaway at the front so far. After lap one, we'll see if anybody can kind of team together and give these top two any kind of challenge as we go farther into this race.
Lane Gibbs with a challenge. All that chaos, seeing Augusto Soto Saripa bumped all the way back to 8th on the track. Fox and Lund trying to run away from Lane Gibbs.
I have no idea what happened to Soto Saripa there. I was excited to see what he would do in this tiny group of Lund and Elijah Fox, because if you remember in the heat race, he was really the driver that kind of threw a wrench into everything, was really mixing everything up towards the front of the pack there. And, well, I don't know what exactly happened to him, but finds himself back at 8th place right now. He's going to work himself back up through these positions. I think he's got enough time to at least get himself back up there, but it's going to take a real effort from him.
It's going to take a lot of effort, absolutely. So, 3.7 seconds back is Soto Saripa for reference in that regard. So, the top two. 6 minutes to work with the sun starting to set here at the racetrack. Lund still looking to try and make it simple. Make it a two-kart breakaway. Don't let Gibbs and Finley back in the conversation. Lund taking a bit of a peek. They have some lap traffic already to deal with pretty soon.
Tough S-complex for Elijah Fox there. Caught both of the curves, both on the inside of those corners there, and that really opened the gap up for Lund to kind of close this gap. They're dealing with lap traffic in front of them too here, which is going to become a factor shortly, so they'll have to contend with that. And about a 4-car train now has formed for this top spot. I would say even maybe a 5th car could be getting in there if they're not careful. And again, Augusto Soto Saripa able to pick up one more position, working himself back up the field. This could be multiple karts involved in this race for the lead here in second if Elijah Fox isn't careful.
Absolutely right now. They are slowly reeling in on the track. The second group, by the way, Braden Rutter on his own by 5 seconds. For those wondering how the Masters are tuning out so far, Nathan Williams has shot up to the front of that field over Simon Ellick in the 495 to the 212. Also, Nelson has dropped back into third in that class. Take a look at the front runners still with less than 5 minutes to go. A little bit of a peek, a little bit of a dive. Lund slides the tires. Elijah Fox crosses him over.
So that was really well done by Lund there. He didn't get to keep the spot, but he did a really good job of giving himself the advantage going into the next corner still. He just wasn't able to hang on to it with Fox that time. I think that's the right way to make that move, though. If he gets that again, I think he'll make it stick.
Also of note, Gundolf has had some issues this lap to drop him back to the 10th position. It's now a 4-car choo-choo train. 4-kart choo-choo train, should say. Final 4 minutes of the racing day. And does Lund this time take a send? No, too many variables to deal with the send.
You see the hands of Fox, though. He had a little bit of a tough time going through the S's there. He's having some rough times going through that section of the racetrack, it seems, in this race, when he's been so consistent all day long. AJ Lund doing a great job of just continuing to put the pressure on him. Not only that, but hold off Lane Gibbs behind him now too, and Blake Finley even challenging Gibbs there for that third spot.
Yeah, remember Lane Gibbs amongst those in the championship conversation for this season. Talking about KA Senior, he so far has been the points leader, remember. But so far, AJ Lund's been doing everything needed to, at the very least, make it to where it could be a very tight battle depending on what happens tomorrow.
Very tight battle indeed, and actually made a fantastic move. I don't know, it was right here coming to the racetrack the next time by. It was able to get to the inside of AJ Lund, or I'm sorry, the inside of Elijah Fox there. Through that corner right there, was able to take the spot away. Really slowed up Fox a little bit too, so you can see there's about a 3-kart gap between Lund and Fox now. We'll see if Lund is able to put any distance on Elijah Fox.
Yeah, we'll see. That distance can build up. We'll see. At this point, right now with almost 2.5 minutes to go. Right now, they are building that buffer you mentioned. Absolutely. Last time by, you see the time intervals. 2/10 picked up. Augusto Sharipo has recovered, by the way, to the 5th position on the pylon. So, with 2 minutes to work with, Elijah Fox keeping them in position. AJ Lund in the lead.
See if Elijah Fox has anything through the S section this time. We've noticed he's been kind of struggling with there. Maybe a little bit of a bump there to the back bumper of AJ Lund, but that's going to slow Elijah Fox down. It's even maybe going to give Lane Gibbs a chance here to make a move. He's able to defend at least this time by. We'll see if Lane Gibbs makes any kind of move here into the right-hander before they go back into this left-handed section. Right now, 1, 2, 3, AJ Lund, Elijah Fox, Lane Gibbs. It's kind of sitting that way right now. But that little bit of a bump that Elijah Fox gave to AJ Lund really slowed him down that last time by. Thought he had the space, but Lund really closed it off.
Yeah, and you see that distance build up. That's going to potentially take the rest of this one for that to close back up. We've seen the gaps take a couple laps to close. Once you get within that half-second fishing rod of a distance, that's when we've seen it close up a fair bit today at times. Now it's under a minute to go on the clock and on the day.
Elijah Fox just a little bit faster that time, so I think he's going to have one more chance here at AJ Lund. He's going to definitely get to him, Justin. I don't think if he's, or I said I don't know at least if he's going to be able to get the pass done at the end of the day, though. That's really what we've seen so far. We've seen people be able to close the gap. We just haven't always been able to see the pass get done. As you can see, he really closed it through that section right there, starting to figure that out. Was giving him trouble in the early stages of the race, but really now doing a great job of closing the gap back up to AJ Lund.
2 laps to work with just about. Coming up here. That was close on the time. Believe that may have gone to 3. We'll see what they get at the flag stand. And now the setup is on for Fox. He has closed up that gap now to 2 car lengths. Next time by is going to be very interesting for Elijah Fox. It is 3 laps to go, coming to 2.
Give a shout out to Augusto Shripa too. Fastest lap of the race that time by, so really doing a great job of recovering. We'll see if he has enough time though to get back to Blake Finley here with the 3 laps they have remaining. We'll take a look at the flag stand when we get by. I believe I saw the popsicle sticks in the air. Yes, 2 laps left for Elijah Fox to try to make one last move on AJ Lund.
Like we're going to be on the final lap if there's the move. That's the thing. See if Fox goes a lap early. No. Elects to go to the back end. Looks for the table setter. Looks to set things up for the final lunge of the day. It's a 2-kart battle for the win. Coming up to the white flag this time by. Final time around coming up for the KA Senior and KA Masters.
See if Elijah Fox here can try to get him back with the same move that he was got with. Doesn't look like he has enough room to get it right now. And then AJ Lund, you saw too, made that move across the racetrack to kind of seal off any hope that Elijah Fox had of that run. It's going to come down to this bank corner right here if it's going to happen, Justin.
One more chance to send it. Here comes Elijah Fox to the inside. Lund working for the left side of the track. Looks for the crossover. Looks to try and switch it back. He does get alongside. Defensive line once again from Fox. Lund trying to poke from the left side. Coming to the checker flag on the day. Fox and Lund battle it out. It's Fox who takes the win over AJ Lund. Gibbs gets a podium finish. Finley and Soto Sharipa round out your top five.
I saw the 3 fingers in the air for Elijah Fox as he crosses the finish line, letting everybody know that's 3 for 3 on the day. An excellent day for Elijah Fox. We'll see if he can come back tomorrow and repeat his dominance here, but really just an amazing day for him so far. Really just showed everybody that not only the class of the field, but the class of the racetrack right now.
The rest of the field closing up the runs here in this race. An exciting one coming to a close, an exciting day coming to a close. Fox, Lund, Gibbs, Finley, Soto Sharipa, your top 5. Soto Sharipa dropping 3. Rather than Hudson Potter made his way around the Masters drivers and got to 7 positions gained, up to 7th. Casey Perry and Matt, along with Gundolf inside the 10th spot. Then on the next page, you have the Masters. Simon Ellick taking the win in the Masters race in the end there. Nelson takes 2nd. Then you have Flynn, one of the seniors, mixed in Williams, and then Gallion having issues on the final lap, finished 15th. Well, Ian, that just about finishes up the day here. Your final thoughts on a busy day for the Indy Karting Challenge as we get ready to close.
Well, it was fun to watch the track progression throughout the day. It was also fun to see which drivers really came out and made a name for themselves. I really think some of the names that come to mind are Elijah Fox, definitely for one, was one of the drivers that just all day up and down really dominated this day. We'll see if he comes back tomorrow and can continue his dominance. I'm also interested to see, looking forward to tomorrow, if there's any changes, maybe any temperature changes. The weather is supposed to be great tomorrow. Should be another great day of kart racing, but I'm really interested to see if anything changes tomorrow for any of these drivers moving forward.
Once again, we've been happy to have you with us here today on Kart Chaser, the Indy Karting Challenge from Indiana. Tomorrow morning, coverage starts at approximately 8:45-ish in the morning as we look to set things up for the penultimate round of the season. Again, a doubleheader weekend here from Whiteland, Indiana. But it's time to say goodbye for the rest of your crew, for Ian Fisher, for everyone here from Indiana. I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening. You've been watching Kart Chaser for the Indy Karting Challenge. We'll see you tomorrow morning for the penultimate round of the season.